Your exclusive home of Utah Jazz basketball is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Collier still holding, 12 on the shot clock, first pass. Right corner, Cody, unguarded, so he'll shoot it and swish it. And the Jazz have come out shooting the three. They've made 3 of their first 4. 5 of 6 overall. Chris Dunn defending. Right-hand drive, coming about backdoor cut, Cody Williams. Oh, reverse side dunk by Cody Williams. Stretch that go-go gadget arm, Cody, and throw it down.
Yeah, John Collins getting dunked on there.
Collier's working the top. His wristband with number 8 on it, up above his left elbow with the dribble. Gives to Lowry, isolated, 4 on the clock. Guarded by Sanders, they double. Rotate, Bailey, corner, pow! Bailey, a rising star, or should be, hits the 3 on the right side for another big game for Ace Bailey.
You're locked into JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Much anticipated moment for us right now because I'm all excited about it because a rare sit-down with the head coach of the Utah Jazz, Will Hardy. JJ did it this week, of course, in preparation for not just the NBA on NBC on Tuesday nights, which you get every Tuesday, but the Utah Jazz and their only appearance on the NBA on NBC this year. Last night facing off against the Clippers and a sit-down with Will Hardy. Before we get into it, it's an interesting thing here because this is a guy who's been in the market for, this is his 3rd year, right?
Yeah.
And
fourth year.
Or 4th year,
He's
rather.
in the middle of his 4th season.
And what is he in his 40s now? Ugh.
No, he's not.
He's still not there?
No, he's not. He's 38. He just turned 38.
All right. So one of the youngest coaches, but also a guy who has a little bit of that old school vibe to it. Maybe it's because of the coaching tree he's
It's
part
Coach
of.
Pop. You can see it in him. There's no doubt about it.
So there's a way that he conducts himself. I just love how much he pushes his young guys. And getting to sit down with him must have been awesome. And so we'll set it up like this. JJ sitting down with Will Hardy ahead of that game last night. But I think this thing was it was a pretty evergreen interview because it's about this team. It's about this coaching staff. And here's JJ sitting down one-on-one with Will Hardy talking about this team and what they're getting out of this Utah Jazz 2025-2026 edition of the program.
Watching this process of a rebuild, there's all these ups and downs and highs and lows. In 3.5 years, you've seen this process through. Where do you see it right now? Are you pleased with where you're at right now? And we're all watching this, and we see the improvement with some of these young players and the light at the end of the tunnel. Do you see the same?
Yeah, I'm really hopeful for our future. I'm excited for our future. I think we have so many good things happening within our organization and on our team. Am I happy with where we're at? No, I won't be happy until we win the whole thing. But that's my responsibility, is to not get complacent, not feed into too much of the positivity around players getting better. I think those are things that we recognize as a staff, and I want our players to recognize that their work is not going unnoticed. But we've got a lot of work still to do, and I think both things can happen at the same time. You can be hopeful, and you can be excited, and you can still not be satisfied.
In a world and in a business that's not patient, how do you maintain that patient approach, which is the right approach?
I think you have to really just decide who you're going to listen to. I don't think that fans should be patient. I think fans all want to win, and fans want their team to be great. And I think, for me, I love that about our fan base, because they do it, that they express that in a way that makes sense. Our fans are not naive to the process that we're going through. They're not naive to the fact that it takes time for young players to turn into a winning group. But I like that our fans are hungry, because they show up for us every night. Our building's packed every night. I feel it when I move around our city and our state, that people are excited about our future, and they like our guys and they see where we're going. But I think in terms of maintaining the patience, you have to block out certain voices. I care about what the people in our building think. I care about what the players in our locker room think. And outside of that, I try to keep my head up and my shoulders back and try to represent this organization and our fan base to the best of my ability every single day. Somebody asked me the other day, like, what's my approach going through this? And I tell myself all the time, I have written on a piece of paper on my desk, stand in the front and don't flinch. I think that's my responsibility.
Did you see the emergence of Keyonte George as a star coming? What did he do, and what have you observed him doing to take this kind of a leap?
Keyonte was able to be honest with himself, and a lot has been made of our relationship and conversations that he and I have had, but he deserves all the credit for where he is right now, because he was able to really look himself in the mirror and do some self-evaluation of what he needed to improve from an approach standpoint, what he needed to improve on the court, what he needed to improve, in his body. And he just put his head down and did the work. Like, there's no substitute for doing the work. Our world now, we all want quick fix. We all want results right this second. And I think Keyonte's shift in his approach has given him the results, but those things are just a byproduct of his approach. And he's still working at it. Like, he still has a down day here and there, but they're fewer and further between than they used to be. And that's the sign of improvement. Did I see Keyonte being a star? I think I've told Keyonte from the very first day, his talent is so obvious. He has a real presence about him on the court. You can see it with the way that his teammates respond to him, the way our fans respond to him. But, I don't want to put a ceiling on how good he's going to be. I'm not that smart. Like, I can't just look at a player and say, oh, they're going to be X, Y, or Z. I think you try to envision pathways for them. And if you can get them on the right path, then you don't really know how far they're actually going to be able to go. But, a big part of our responsibility is trying to find those pathways.
How has his emergence changed the trajectory of where you guys are going with this franchise, the speed at which you're going?
Yeah, I think it's been a really good indicator for us in terms of taking a step forward. In order for us to be successful, you have to have some internal development. You have to have some of your homegrown people turn into really good players. And Keyonte has shown obviously massive signs of that this year. Some of his teammates, some of our other young players are showing a ton of growth too. And, to really win at the highest level, you've got to be 12 deep. And so you're not going to have 12 star players, but you have to have a bunch of people that can participate in winning and play in playoff games. Whether it's tactical differences, matchups, or just injuries on your own team, like, you don't know when you're going to need everybody. And so Keyonte gets a lot of public praise, and rightfully so, but he has some of his teammates too who are getting a lot better as well.
Ace Bailey's one of those teammates, and we're seeing the flashes. We get it. We understand it. What have you learned about him in getting to know him, both on and off the court, that gives you belief and promise that he's going to reach his potential?
Ace is a really fast learner. He wants to learn. He wants to be coached. He's honest almost to a fault. Like, he takes a lot of accountability when he's playing. Sometimes he's taking accountability for things that weren't his fault. But those are massive indicators for me of somebody who's going to be successful. He doesn't make excuses. He doesn't point fingers. There are certain circumstantial things, whether it could be in a game or over the course of 10 games, that aren't his fault, that have put him in some tough spots. And he never complains. I think on the court, the part I'm most excited about with Ace is that he's showing the ability to impact the game on both sides of the ball. To win at the highest level, your best players have to play on both sides of the ball.
How great has Lowry been in every way for you guys right now?
It would be hard for me to express how grateful I am for Lowry. The human being that he is, the player he is, the way he carries himself, the way he prepares, the way he competes. For a first-time head coach coming here, to be able to partner with somebody like Lowry, for our relationship to grow, for us to grow together, on the court, off the court. He's everything that we want to stand for as an organization. Like, he is what the Utah Jazz are about. He's a top-level human being. He's an amazing player. He carries himself with a ton of humility. He's a part of our community. It's hard to put into words how grateful I am and we are for Lowry.
Bryce Sensabaugh went on a tear off the bench that the NBA's never seen. What did you learn about him with those performances and what he's been doing?
Yeah, Bryce has an innate ability to score. I wish I could say that we were teaching him all those things. We've tried to help refine a few areas and a few different reads that he's making on the court, but Bryce can really get it going. And so I think we have to continue to recognize the moments when we need to just kind of let him go, while also managing the nights when we need to involve him, but within the construct of the team. When somebody gets hot like Bryce did, there's this temptation to just double down. And the next game is like, oh, we're going to let it ride again. And I don't think that's productive. Like, each game is its own thing. And it's great that Bryce has been in a good rhythm, but every game needs to start with the approach of playing within the construct of the team. And then if you really get it going again, well, then we can sort of take the guardrails off and let you go.
There's always been this belief that a rook or young players need a great vet to show them the ropes, but if you have a bad vet, it's not necessarily the case, right? But it looks like you found the right vets here. What is it about some of these older guys that are really having a positive impact on these younger players?
I think the best thing that Kevin and Nurk and Kyle, George coming in, like those four in particular, I'm taking Lowry out of that because Lowry's been here with these guys, but those four coming in, I just think they're able to provide so much perspective to our young players and about what it's like other places, about the opportunity that they have, about different things that they've experienced in the early parts of their career, things they are happy they did, things they regret doing. It's perspective that I can't give them. You need learning to come in a variety of ways, and I think that being an NBA player is really hard. And all four of those guys have what our young players want, which is longevity in the NBA. So I think those guys have provided a ton of perspective. I also think they've modeled a lot of really good behavior in terms of how they take care of themselves.
You can see that. Cody Williams, it feels to me like he's in this tough spot because of who his brother's become and what he is and what the expectations were of a first-round pick. Everybody thinks he's going to be his brother or whatever those expectations are placed upon him. How have you been able to help him manage that so he takes that slow approach and doesn't get bogged down in what people think he should be instead of who he is?
Yeah, I try not to talk about it with him. his brother's a great player, and I respect him a lot, but I don't talk about him with Cody ever, because Cody is running his own race, and Cody's got a lot to offer, and he's a part of our group, and we respect his brother from afar, but Cody's ours, and Cody's who I care about. Austin and I say to each other all the time, comparison's the thief of joy, and I really believe that. I don't want Cody to start thinking about where he is relative to his brother. It's unproductive, because his circumstance is also different. So I think Cody has done a really, really good job in terms of the way that he's competing with himself every day. I can't imagine, some of those pressures that just come with the fact that your brother's a really good player. I'm sure people on Twitter want to remind him of that, but to me, all of those comparisons are unproductive because Cody still has an opportunity to have a great career ahead of him.
Your veterans have been wise to let these young players know how good they have it here. And one of the great things they have here is patience. These guys have had time to develop. There's not this, there's pressure in other places, but not quite here. How connected are you with the front office and being able to manage that part of it? Everybody here understands that there's a long game here. How is that benefiting those younger players?
Yeah, I'm really lucky to work with and for who I do. Pro sports in general, the NBA, it's a hard landscape. And perspective and having a group that's aligned is something that we all talk about, but you don't see it as much as you would think. Myself, Austin, Justin, Ryan, Danny, we're as connected as I could ever imagine. We don't really have to have a ton of scheduled meetings because we all talk all day, every day. It's this running conversation where nothing gets lost in translation. I think how present Ryan is with our organization every day allows there to not be things lost in translation or a lack of context. The relationships, the ability to communicate very openly and honestly between myself, Austin, Justin, Danny, it's what allows us to navigate hard moments. It's what allows us to really plan for the future. And I think it does benefit our young players because they don't feel like there's a divide in the organization. Our players know how connected we are. Our players know that the plans that we are putting together for them in terms of their development, the future of our team, they're being made together. With myself, Austin, Justin, Danny, it's not they're handling that part of the plan and I'm handling this part of the plan. It's not like that at all. So I think if you follow our team, if you follow our organization, I think you can feel it. I think the way that we all interact with each other, I think the way that we all communicate with each other is pretty evident.
Will Hardy, head coach of the Utah Jazz, sitting down with our own Jeremiah Jensen. What impresses you about this guy the most?
How smart he is, how thoughtful he is. If you listen to that interview, every question I asked, he had a very detailed, thoughtful answer about each and every topic I asked him. And it shows you how methodical he is and how detail-oriented he is on everything he does each day. He doesn't just give you a canned answer or something where he's just trying to move on to the next question. He was really focused on what I was asking him. And I think one of the reasons why he is so good with these players, and it's not easy to do when you're coaching multimillionaires that are young and think they're the man, how can you keep these guys humble and how can you get them to listen to you? Well, you actually have to listen. You actually have to listen. You have to be sincere, and you have to show them that you care about their development and them as people. And just my time with Will, I realized that that's how he handles his business in that locker room.
Well, it's also how he's handled by the management too. They're like, hey,
and that's a culture
let
thing,
you do
right?
your thing, man. Yeah.
So as Jazz fans, you should be really pleased with the fact that the Jazz have a really healthy, good culture right now. And some great young players mixed with some great vets we talked about. But Will Hardy, now in his 4th year, is really feeling good about where – I think there's a confidence with him with what he's doing because he's seeing the results and he has the relationships and he has the trust. All those things matter. And not every coach in the league has that. Even well-established coaches in the league, veteran coaches, have that trust with management, ownership, and their locker room. He's got it here.
We're going to keep talking Jazz. Chandler Holt's going to join us next, and we'll get you ready for Jazz versus Warriors tonight. A little back-to-back action, but it's at home. You know, the back-to-backs are not as bad when you get to stay at home for both of them. So we'll get a preview of that game and much more with Chandler coming up next, 97.5. The KSL Sports Zone. Before we get you out, first portion of the show, always this hour, brought to you by Trajan Wealth, TRAJAN Wealth.com. That's Trajan Wealth for all your trusted local needs in retirement, TrajanWealth.com. More to go. Stay with us, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You know what's coming. Your daily deep dive into everything Utah Jazz. It's time! All season long and even in the off season. It's Jazz Daily with JJ and Alex on your exclusive home of Utah Jazz basketball. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Thanks for being with us. It's Jazz Game Day. You just heard that exclusive one-on-one with Will Hardy with our own Jeremiah Jensen. And now we're going to continue on this topic of the Utah Jazz because it is a game day. And at the top of the hour, you're going to get Jazz pregame, walking you into a 7 o'clock tip-off over here at Delta Center, a second night of a back-to-back, but at home. This night, it's the Warriors. Joining us on the program right now, he's Chandler Holt. He hosts the Jazz Notes podcast. He also is a digital contributor on our KSLSports.com website. Chandler, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, we're doing well. How's this team managing right now with like the weirdity of, you know, Lowry's kind of strange up and down with the injuries and the sickness and then just taking all that time off and then obviously taking a minute to get back into it. Yet at the same time, you have this development going on with these young guys. You're not winning a ton of games, but you're seeing a lot of progress with these dudes.
Yeah, and I would say the big thing is you're absolutely right. It has been up and down. Specifically with Larry Markkinen, he hasn't really missed a beat. He's only played in 6 games this month, but he's averaging 27.7 points in those appearances. He comes back tonight, which is a good sign. And I will say whenever the vets don't play, like, for example, you get some Yusuf Nurkic and Kevin Love rest nights, it's very inconsistent. But the good news is you have Keontae, you have Bryce Sensabaugh, you have Ace Bailey, you have all these young guys who are getting minutes, getting more experience, and you even have guys like Cody Williams. Cody Williams has been awesome this year compared to what we saw in year 1 from him, and I think every minute with these young guys on the floor is ultimately a net positive for the Jazz going forward.
What was your reaction when you found out Ace Bailey was not on the Rising Stars roster?
That was very, very shocking to me. In fact, we recorded a Jazz Notes podcast a few hours before those teams came out, and I said it was a lock that he would make the team. And then ultimately, you see he didn't. You have guys taken after him in the draft, like Colin Murray-Boyles making the team. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of talent in this year's draft, but Ace Bailey has been awesome. He has been starting for this team for 3+ months now. He's shooting in the month of January. He's shooting almost 50% from the field. Mind you, he doesn't have maybe some of the crazy numbers that you see from the Duke guys, for example, Gonkanupal and Cooper Flagg, but he's been very consistent, which is something you don't really expect from a rookie. So, yeah, it was very shocking to me. I think he should have been on that team.
Last night we saw Keontae George, of course, sitting out that game. What's the status tonight? What's kind of an injury report update here as we're getting closer to the pregame, which means we probably have some updates here.
Yeah, as I previously mentioned, Larry Markkinen will make his return, which is nice. Keontae George is also officially available. Yusuf Nurkic is questionable, so I think that'll be kind of a game-time decision as we wait for tip-off. And then Cody Williams, who I also previously said has been playing a lot better recently, he is out tonight.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing because JJ brought it up with Will Hardy about Cody Williams, and that's something that everybody – I think people are going harder at Cody Williams, like with an idea of whether or not he's going to be, you know, an NBA guy. like his brother, all those things that come with it. But what has he gotten so much better at in this last little while? Obviously, it's nice to have like baseline dunks like he had last night to be able to catch attention. But what's getting better with his game?
Yeah, so last year, especially with the Jazz being so bad, they had injuries every single night, especially later in the year. You saw injury reports with 8 or more guys on it. He was sort of just thrown into the fire. And, of course, that was felt more earlier in the season when he had more minutes, and then later sort of started to dip down a bit. But this year, I think he's finally settling into a role. And a lot of times, like Walker Kessler is the perfect example. You have a great rookie season, then your second year it leaves a lot to be asked for, then you jump in the third. It's been on the steady incline for Cody Williams, which I think is awesome. I think he's shooting over 40% on corner threes this year. And the big thing is, last year he was a 3-and-D player in the sense that most of his offense came on catch-and-shoot threes, and he just doesn't have that in his game right now. And you mentioned the dunk. We're seeing a lot more of that from Cody Williams this year, which is awesome, and which is also why he was a top 10 pick in the draft, because in Colorado he wasn't known as a volume shooter. A lot of times he used his length inside, getting around defenders, and we're seeing a lot more of his strengths come to light. And mind you, I never sold stock in Cody Williams, but I think his future in the NBA and with the Jazz is much more clear after this year.
It's pretty quiet right now before the trade deadline, with the exception, of course, of the Giannis news, and obviously that could set off a chain reaction. But overall, it feels like it's kind of quiet around the league, around the deadline. Would you agree with that? And, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I absolutely would agree. We had the Trae Young deal, which is kind of a nothing for both teams involved with that. I honestly don't even really see Giannis getting moved, especially with his contract and the level of player that he is. It's tough to make those kind of deals in the middle of the season. Mind you, that kind of happened with Luka, but I don't think anyone saw that coming. With that said, I don't expect it to be completely quiet. I imagine we're coming up fast on the trade deadline. There will be some movement. And also, I don't hear anything around the Jazz specifically, but also everyone knows the Ainge family isn't specifically quiet around the trade deadline. So even if it's just the Jazz are a third team in a deal doing some facilitating, I expect them to do something, but I also don't expect any major buying or selling moves.
Let me ask you this. Should the Jazz do something at the trade deadline?
I think it is all about opportunity. If something presents itself, again, to use this example, the Lakers probably weren't expecting to trade Anthony Davis, but when Luka Doncic comes to your doorstep, you pick up the phone. I imagine the Jazz will be in a similar spot. They will be opportunistic and sort of listen whenever calls are made. There was murmurs earlier in the season that the Jazz were actually answering and thinking about deals around Walker Kessler. Indiana was a team that was mentioned very specifically there, but I don't know. It's tough to say, and I think that the Jazz are very good about keeping their cards close to their chest, which they kind of did in the draft as well with Ace Bailey. So remains to be seen.
Chandler Holt joining us here on the program as we get you ready for Jazz and Warriors tonight. What's this matchup look like? This is a Warriors team that's also had its weirdness this year with injuries and ups and downs and playing, and certainly it's not the old Warriors team we're used to. But what are you going to expect tonight with this Golden State team coming into town?
Yeah, so third matchup between the Jazz and the Warriors this year. Warriors took both of the previous games by 17 and by 9, so not huge blowouts, closer games. Lowry and Keontae played in both of those games, and they're averaging over 50 points as a duo, and they're both back tonight, so I expect some fireworks from them. And also the Warriors are without Jimmy Butler, so that's another positive defender off the floor, so maybe Lowry can sort of have some fireworks in his first game back on the court, but also worth mentioning, Ace Bailey averages 21 points in only one game against the Warriors this year. But with more health, of course, I mentioned Nurk questionable and Cody Williams out. I would look at some of the top Jazz guys to maybe have a good game tonight.
Chandler, we appreciate it, man. We're going to be watching closely this evening. And, of course, you and Ben do such a great job on the Jazz Notes podcast. We'll be listening to that as well. Thanks for hanging out with us today, man.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
There you go. Chandler Holt. Take a break here. We'll come back around the corner. We'll get you ready. We'll walk you right up to your Jazz pregame right here on the radio home of the Utah Jazz, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Wrapping up the hour with our picks for the best and worst moments on today's show. As JJ and Alex want to hear your best and worst of the day.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Final segment of the day as you have Utah Jazz basketball coming up here at the top of the hour. Want to remind you that this week, on Friday, and it's a big one, the last time for you to be able to dip in with Hans Olsen on the Hans and Scotty program from noon to 3. They're going to be out on the road. Boy, maybe we start something up wild where you just have a parade of people showing up. I know that they would love it, and it's going to be there at the Tim Daly Mazda in Sandy, 10785 South Auto Mall Drive. Join Hans and Scotty for that final show of Hans's radio career. No, he's not leaving the BYU broadcast. Don't worry about that. But still, we'll see how people parade over there. Hey, Jazz, Warriors, how's this one end tonight, JJ?
Jazz without well, they're going to be all right as far as injuries go. I think they're going to be in pretty good shape. Kevin Love's out. I think they give the Warriors a game, but the Warriors find a way at the end.
Okay.
Key will be back fresh though, so that's kind of the wild card. Maybe they'd get a dub. They played pretty well at home on occasion.
With Lowry and Key, you never know what you're going to get with those guys. Well,
when
actually,
they have both together, they're really, really good.
You're going to get about 50 points.
I think you just talked me into a Jazz win.
You know what? Got the guys back together again. Get the gang back. Let's see if we can figure this one out. Yes, Giannis Antetokounmpo on the trading block. We'll see how that one goes. Steven Adams, last bit of news across the league.
Bummer.
Like this guy. He's one of those likable dudes. Season-ending injury for him. That's a bummer there. All right. We will take the long break here. We'll be back again tomorrow. We'll get you covered right here. Stay dialed in. Utah Jazz versus the Golden State Warriors next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.